up. Nijmi, you're live.
Okay, great. Welcome everyone to the Pennsylvania Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, Moral Monday on healthcare and living wages. We're really, really excited that you all are here. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We're gonna start out with a song to get us started that was pre-recorded by our Pennsylvania CO musicologist, Jacob Butterly. So Kristen, you can go ahead and play that. Thank you. We just need audio, Kristen. Jacob put in the chat, sharing with the original sound turned on, if that helps. So I'm wondering, maybe Jacob, maybe you're in a position to share this?
Can you give me co-host power? I'm not logged in.
Yeah, Kristen should be able to do that.
See, you can keep the recording going. I know it's hard to juggle all this if you just give me co-host power.
Kristen, can you hear us? Kristen?
Yes. I can hear you.
We haven't been able to hear any audio, Kristen.
Okay. Hold
Until
on.
when you came off mute, now we can hear it.
You can hear it now?
We can hear it through your audio. Can you just, if you make me co-host, I can share the video.
Hold on one moment, I'm sorry.
When the poor take a stand and unite in solid band, there'll be good things happening in this land. There'll be good things happening in this land. There'll be good things happening in this land. When the poor take a stand and unite in a solid band, there'll be good things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. But the union's going on, the union's growing strong. There are mean things happening in this land.
So I think we did hear the song, but if we want to hear it again and see Jacob's video, maybe you can make Jacob the co-host, or we can just also move on.
I can make him the co-host. It froze my screen when we went live, so I'd be happy to make him the co-host.
Okay. Thanks, Kristen.
Apologies.
Oh, good.
You're a co-host now.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you so much.
That was awesome to hear it. You're an awesome singer. Hold on. You got it now.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. Really appreciate it.
There are mean things happen in this land.
Y'all hear that?
Yes.
There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. But the union's going on and the union's growing strong. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. Oh, the rich folks boast and brag while the poor go on in rags. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. Oh, the farmer cannot eat, 'cause she's raised too much wheat. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. Vaccine made by our minds, the rich won't produce it on the line. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. Lots of groceries on the shelves, but we have none for ourselves. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. Tens of millions uninsured, those who are paying more and more. There are mean things happening in this land. But there'll be good things happening in this land. There'll be good things happening in this land. When the poor take a stand and unite in a solid band, there'll be good things happening in this land. There'll be good things happening in this land. There'll be good things happening in this land. When the poor take a stand and unite in a solid band, there'll be good things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. There are mean things happening in this land. But the union's going on and the union's growing strong. There are mean things happening in this land.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jacob. Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining us or if you've been here, thank you so much for your patience. This is the Pennsylvania Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. We are doing a Moral Monday action today, along with partners from One Fair Wage, SEIU, the Communication Workers of America. And today, as we speak, there are actions taking place in Arizona, California, Illinois, Michigan, New Hampshire, New York, Washington, D.C., West Virginia, and right here in Pennsylvania. So we're just really grateful that you all are here. That was Jacob, you just heard, our Pennsylvania theomusicologist. And today's focus is on healthcare and living wages. We're really excited to be joined, and we're going to start our program by our partners at One Fair Wage. We have Sahaitu with us today, and also a worker that is going to be speaking with us. I believe it's Carol. So I'm going to pass it to you, Sahaitu, to introduce Carol to us.
Thank you. How are you, everyone? Thanks for having me. My name is Sahaitu. I work with One Fair Wage. I'm delighted to introduce Carrie, Aunt Carrie, who's been in the industry for several decades. And I'll let her take it away. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I am Aunt Carrie. The reason why I'm called Aunt Carrie is I have been in the business for over 35 years, and 200 children have learned to call me Aunt Carrie over those years. We talk about the COVID crisis, causing the underpaid people, the poor people, even more trauma during this time. My crisis started 35 years ago. First time I accepted a job as a waitress, getting paid $2.35 an hour. It's now 35 years later, and I'm only getting paid $2.83 an hour. That is a crisis. Now, of course, I get tips, but they just don't go that far. Now, I'm going to show you what my income looks like. As of 2019, my son, who's 26 years old, and I have the total income of $30,000 in 1 year. This is what our taxes said. Our rent is $1,180 a month, making it $14,160 a year. After deducting that from my annual income of the two of us, it's $15,840. That's what I have to survive off of in a year. I have to pay my taxes out of that. I have to pay for food out of that, insurance, utilities, transportation, clothing, and dental, because insurance does not consider your teeth a necessary bone. It's considered a luxury. Now, I've had to deal with this for 35 years, and I didn't always have that income. I've been a single mother. So yes, I've had to cut corners. I've learned how to use food banks. I've learned how to use food stamps, even beg my job for a meal once in a while so I had food at home for my kid. I had to skimp on other things though, one of which is health insurance. Health insurance for a family of 2 people would be $300 a month. Take that away from my less than $16,000 a year I have to live off of. That is $3,600. I'm now at less than $13,000 for the year for everything else. And I didn't even include Wi-Fi or cable in that because those are luxuries. Unfortunately, I've had to skip on the health insurance. That left me 17 years of my life without health insurance. I was born with an autoimmune disease that they found out that I had at 6 years old. Because I went 17 years into my adulthood without this being treated, I developed psoriatic arthritis as well as other inflammations around my body. Now, of course, I have the health insurance. But instead of a mild medication I could have taken through my life that didn't cost much, my medications are extremely expensive, leading to I get a shot once every 3 months that costs the taxpayers $3,000 a shot. This is what poverty has done. I can't afford health insurance, so it goes to the taxpayer, so it goes to you. My health insurance also helped me quit smoking after 22 years. I struggled with it. Finally, a pill that I took for 3 months helped me quit smoking. But it came at a cost. After waiting so long to get the help, I have COPD. I now take 3 medications for my lungs, totaling $700 a month, once again paid for by the tax dollars. So let me recap on what poverty is doing to people. First, my employer is making you pay my salary because I live off of tips. Then my employer is making you pay for my insurance, pay for my food, pay for my daily needs through welfare. This is wrong. Now we have a choice we can make today. Either you can continue paying tax dollars towards my everyday living expenses, or we can speak up now and we can tell everybody, make my boss pay his employees a livable wage. Don't force the taxpayers to do it. Cough up some of those profits and pay your people a livable wage. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Aunt Carrie. Thank you. That was really powerful. And thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for organizing. Show some love for Aunt Carrie in the chat, everybody. Tell her what an amazing job that she did. I think your story also really illustrates, and your experience and your fight with One Fair Wage really illustrates the fact that we've got to fight for all of our human rights, right? Our human right to living wages, our human right to health care. Those are things that we all need. So we just appreciate you so much. And we're in this struggle together. The fight for living wages is a Poor People's Campaign. So just know that you're part of the Poor People's Campaign family. And so is One Fair Wage here in Pennsylvania. So thank you so, so much. I want to take a few moments to introduce a really special guest as well that we have with us today. Right here in Pennsylvania, we have Dr. Sherelle Barber. She's the coordinator of the COVID-19 Health Justice Advisory Committee for the National Poor People's Campaign. And we're just really grateful to have her. And I wanted to offer a moment for her to just greet us and say a few words.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Movement family. It's so good to be on with you all today. I actually don't have much to say except that, one, Aunt Carrie, if you don't mind if I call you Aunt Carrie, we're just standing with you and speaking with you on these issues because, as many folks have put into the chat, it's criminal what we do to working folks every day. It's criminal the ways in which we deny healthcare after this sick society has made us sick. And it is the time for folks like you and me and others to stand and demand in the middle of this pandemic that we do right by working class folks and poor folks in this country. It has also just been an honor, an extreme honor, along with some colleagues from some universities across the country to stand in solidarity with the Poor People's Campaign and alongside the Poor People's Campaign over the course of the last year. We have attempted to also use our gifts and our voices to speak to the issues. And so I often take what I hear from the Poor People's Campaign back to my classroom, back to policymakers, back to folks who need to hear it. And so it's just been really great. Good to be able to do this work in solidarity with everyone. I would just encourage you all, and I'm really encouraging myself. I always get inspired by these meetings just to continue to fight. There's so much work to be done. And Nijmi, thank you so much for your leadership here in Pennsylvania, for the ways in which you cry loud and spare not. You're a prophetic voice in this space, and I just appreciate that. And so, again, I'm just here to stand alongside. I will have to jump off for another meeting, but just wanted to greet you all and just really encouraged and inspired by the power of the people in this moment. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barber. We're very honored to have you here with us. We really appreciate all your work. So this is wonderful. I want to just reiterate why we are here. This is a Moral Mondays action with the Pennsylvania Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. My name is Nijmi Zakia Zarinko. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Pennsylvania campaign. And you may know that the Poor People's Campaign built an incredible amount of power in the lead up to the presidential race. We did not do that by endorsing a candidate. We did not do that by being partisan, but we did it by being political. And we contacted over 2 million low-income voters across the country, across urban and rural and small town and suburban areas. We specifically targeted poor and dispossessed working class voters. And now we are continuing to build that power and exert that power over what happens in the first 100 days of the Biden administration. And this series of Moral Monday actions is related to that purpose. And specifically today, we are here digitally in Pennsylvania. I know that through much of the state, there's snow and freezing rain happening right now, and we didn't want to put people at risk. But there are also actions happening in Arizona, California, Illinois, Michigan, New Hampshire, New York, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia. So be fortified by knowing that you are here today with many people from around the country that are demanding real, just COVID relief, a real, just COVID relief bill that includes $15 an hour minimum wage for all workers, that includes equity in the distribution of the vaccine, and that includes healthcare, and that moves us toward healthcare for all. So these are the demands that we're making on our senators, particularly senators that are standing in the way, but also all senators. We're holding them accountable to these demands. We're doing this today in partnership with One Fair Wage, with SEIU, with the Communication Workers of America, and of course, all of the organizations on the Pennsylvania Poor People's Campaign Coordinating Committee, many of whom are here, and there'll be a chance for folks to speak in a few moments and share with us as well. Tammy, I know you're here and wondering if you wanted to share with us what you're going to be sharing on the national broadcast. No pressure, though. Either way is totally fine. I know you're waiting to get on there as well, or you're probably on standby. So just let us know.
Yeah, interesting time when sometimes the internet likes to go out. So I wanted to download Zoom onto my phone. So I wanted to test it out on here before getting on the other line. Yeah, so, I'll be talking about a little bit of like my experience when I was working as a home healthcare aide, as well as the fact that I'm tackling COVID right now. I can say that I had help putting these together because one of the problems I have with COVID is the fog brain. And when I read this, people are going to be like, wow, she sounds so on point, but y'all don't know the work that had to go in to even putting these thoughts together. And, it's been like nearly a month now. And I'm still like having really bad effects. Like I couldn't even fold my laundry yesterday. And so just kind of really just sharing like the interconnection between how it's important to raise wages, but it's also important to look at, that we need universal healthcare. We need healthcare as a human right as well alongside this, because I'm definitely concerned that people could be kicked off of Medicaid if we get one and not the other. You know what I mean? Like if we get the wages, but we don't get healthcare, I am a little concerned with that because I've had my own experience with that.
Thank you, Tammy. Yeah, so just whatever you need to do to get ready for the national broadcast, please do that. And just know that, Tammy, for folks who may be meeting you for the first time, is a big leader in this movement, and is, as they just mentioned, is battling with COVID at this moment. So just please send them lots of love as they prepare to share this with the country, and really lift up these demands together and show the interconnectedness between them. So yeah, so Tammy, just let us know if there's anything else that you need.
I do have one question. So the
yeah,
link that you sent me in the text, that's what I get on to like closer to 4, right? Do I wait closer to the time? I just want to make sure
you should probably get on there. Yeah.
Okay.
You should probably get. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, again. I know there's people here who have a lot of experiences as well with living wages, the need for living wages, the need for healthcare. And we want to create an environment where folks can speak out. I do just want to, again, say that we are going to actually do, at the end of this call, I'll share with you call-in scripts for Senators Toomey and Casey that we are going to be calling and letting them know that we're taking action today with all of these other states to demand just COVID relief, that $15 an hour minimum wage be included in COVID relief legislation for both tipped and non-tipped workers, and in support of healthcare for all and equity in the vaccine. This is really critically important right now. I think that you probably saw the news that we just surpassed, or we just reached 500,000, 500,000 deaths from COVID. And even in the midst of a pandemic that has claimed the lives of 500,000 people in this country, healthcare is still not a right. It's still a privilege. So we must call on these senators to say, for instance, Senator Casey, who's been, a defender, a proponent of the Affordable Care Act, a big supporter of that if the Affordable Care Act is truly a step toward universal health care, now is the time to hold the folks who say that accountable to actually taking us further and implementing universal health care. So this is a very important time. I can't think of a better time than in the middle of a pandemic and in the middle of an economic depression to guarantee healthcare as a right. We know that over 23,000 Pennsylvanians have died of COVID, and our state is currently ranked 41st out of 50 for our vaccine distribution rate. This is resulting in a situation in which individuals and families are left to their own devices to navigate testing and vaccination, needlessly extending the virus's suffering and death. We demand equity in the production and distribution of the vaccine, prioritizing immediate vaccination for poor communities as well as Black, Indigenous, and other communities of color. And now is the time to achieve universal health care by passing single-payer legislation at the federal level and or facilitating the state-based expansion of Medicaid to all residents. We also know that the $1.9 billion COVID relief bill that Congress is considering is already a compromise, and we can't accept more compromise. Corporations got the trillions of dollars that they demanded in COVID relief, and some money that they didn't even seek, while our people are dying and heading toward economic ruin even before the pandemic. 62 million people in the US make less than $15 an hour, including 2.3 million in Pennsylvania. That's 42% of our employed workforce makes less than $15 an hour. So this is a critical issue in the fight for racial and economic equity. The minimum wage here is $7.25 an hour. It is critical for essential workers that the COVID relief bill include $15 minimum wage for all workers, including tip workers. So I just want to reaffirm why we're here, what we're talking about today, and to make the connection between those two issues, as Tammy mentioned. The reality here in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure many other states, is that increasing the wage to $15 an hour would then in turn kick a lot of people off of Medicaid. It would limit their eligibility for Medicaid. And that is unacceptable because healthcare is a human right and living wages are human rights, and we need both of them. That wouldn't be an issue if we had a universal healthcare system where everyone was in and nobody was out. So we have to avoid the divide and conquer strategies of the powers that be that do separate these issues, that do position them as being distinctive and that they're not related, when we in fact know that they are. And we in fact cannot accept that we make an advance on one front and then we take a step back on another front. We're talking about forward together, not one step back. We're not willing to take a step back around healthcare or a step back around living wages. So once again, I want to thank you all very much for being here. And I want to make some space. If you're just joining us, we heard some theomusicology in the beginning. We heard from Aunt Carrie, who delivered an amazing testimony from One Fair Wage. We heard from Dr. Sherelle Barber, part of the COVID-19 task force of the National Poor People's Campaign. And I know that there's a lot of folks on this meeting right now who have experience with the issues of healthcare and living wages, who are healthcare workers themselves, who are caregivers, and other kinds, all of us as workers. So I want to open it up and see if anyone would like to comment on the theme of this Moral Mondays from your own experience. And you can go ahead and put your name in the chat if you want to get onto the stack, and then I will call on you. Would anyone like to share? You can go ahead and put your name in the chat if you would like to speak. And if not, I think we could use some more music, actually. Jacob, maybe you could share the other song with everyone, and then maybe that'll give folks a chance to go ahead and think about what they want to say.
So this is a song originally by Charlie King, parodying John Lennon's Imagine. I wrote back in like 2008. But I've changed around a couple of the lyrics here. Going a little bit farther, I think. So, I hope y'all enjoy.
a doctor. Coverage money can buy. Imagine first class treatment when you're unemployed. Ooh, imagine no insurance, no greedy middleman, no premium, no copay, single player plan. Imagine long-term illness and you won't lose your home. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not looking at the stars. Hope someday the poor will rise and the world will be yours. Can you say universal? Wonder if you can. Now try comprehensive. Does this sound like a plan? It's worked for years in places like Cuba and Vietnam. They say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not looking at the stars. Hope someday we'll join them and the world will be ours.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jacob. Wonderful. Show love for Jacob in the chat. Welcome, everyone. And I see a few people that have put in the chat. And if you weren't able to put in the chat, I'll just give you a call out in a minute here. But thank you, folks. I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with Harrison.
Thank you. My name is Harrison. I'm with Put People First PA. I use he, him pronouns. I'm wondering about how we can bring the fight for universal health care into other struggles, because like we were talking about, it's all connected. And I'm struck by, the idea that now is the time in COVID-19 to be pushing forward universal health care. And so I go to school at Villanova. I'm a grad student. I teach there, and they don't offer us health care. And this is a Catholic university. And oftentimes it's hard. I feel like it's hard to advocate because the people in power they're trapped in this understanding of healthcare being a marketplace, being something you buy. And even with these Catholic leaders, it's difficult to raise the moral issue of healthcare and say that healthcare is a human right. And we need universal healthcare now more than ever. And before COVID-19 and after COVID-19, the administration there is still denying us healthcare. And it's like they're not hearing the urgency, even with the pandemic outside. There's like a block, and I'm just echoing that we really need to understand that healthcare for all is so important in our workplaces, in our homes, and everywhere.
Thank you so much, Harrison. Thank you. Anita.
Yeah, thank you, Harrison, for, pointing this need out where we need to tie it to other, or not need, need to look into all kinds of areas to find where healthcare interacts with other issues. One of those being, I've been the good thing about this thing being a Zoom meeting now is that, I've been doing independent work, and I just decided, and I'd come across a map of Superfund sites, as in where the Environmental Protection Agency is, the Environmental Protection Agency labels a site as a Superfund site if it's, leaking and dangerous and, hazardous to people and animals in the environment. And turn this around. The little yellow dots are active Superfund sites. The green dots are empty sites, and red are future sites. This is over the Philadelphia area. Or yes, this. We've historically been called the healthcare triangle, the Trenton, Princeton, Philadelphia, Delaware area, because of pharmaceuticals, because of, insurance agencies in this area, because of hospitals in this area. But, at the same time, there's so much, because of a lack of affordable healthcare, all these, we do have, because of our history, a legacy of environmental toxins in our environment. And people will need to be treated for those as, time goes on. And without universal healthcare, the system will be unable to take care of everybody who needs it. And that unfortunately means a lot of death. And I mean, I personally think that's bad. But I mean, I'm with Put People First, but this is something that I've come across in my studies elsewhere that I wanted to bring up.
Thanks, Anita. Thank you. Really powerful point. Steffi?
Hi. First of all, my kids want to say hi real quick so they can go do their thing. Say hi. Okay. Now say hi real quick, Ethan, so you guys can go play. Okay. Go on. Go on, boys. Yes. Sorry about that. They know I'm about to speak, so they all show up. But yeah, I do have some personal experience. Years ago, I was a home health aide and a substitute teacher. I was working 7 days a week. No health care, no nothing. My husband was still on the line, a line cook, and he was working close to 60 hours a week, and we couldn't afford insurance or anything. It was really hard making it. Then I got pregnant and had to stop working. So we got thrown onto welfare. I ended up getting insurance because I did get on Medicaid after I had my baby. My kids were on CHIP, which was free, which was good, but it should be for everybody, obviously, especially children, no matter how much you make. But since then, I've gotten a job in early childhood for the county, which also, they do give me insurance, but it still costs me, just for me and my husband, $700 a month. And CHIP has raised our insurance since I started working from $400 a month for my kids to $780. So, and I don't make much. I'm a preschool TA. So for them to raise that amount of money, it basically kind of cancels everything out to where I'm not working, you know. It well takes over half my paycheck, almost all my paycheck between the four of us. But we are very fortunate that we still have our jobs and that my husband has gotten substantial promotions. So we are in a better position now, but I know that a lot of people aren't. And a living wage is so important. Me and my husband lived through it for a decade. And yeah, so things are just really rough. And healthcare is a human right. It is. And I believe that mental health issues are being ignored also, which goes one in one with addiction. Also, you know, it's usually addiction and mental health often goes together. So that then you have a lot of homeless people that have these issues. So it all comes down to healthcare, not helping, you know, and like the woman was saying earlier about then, so all the taxpayers are picking it up, right? But I better cut it short. My kids are starting to be loud. But yes, thank you for listening to my personal experience, and I look forward to hearing more people's stories. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you. Kristen.
Hi, my name's Kristen. I'm with Put People First, Pennsylvania. I use she, her pronouns. I am also with the National Union of the Homeless, and the Moral Mondays, all of them interlocking. But the one about healthcare really hits close to home in that how do you have an adequate standard of living, right? Which is also a human right, without adequate health care. And the human right language is really interesting to me. It says we have a right to health, to all areas of wellness. And right now what's happening is when we fund one area like a wage, we take away from other areas, like you price yourself out of Medicaid. So many people will have their wage increased, but then they'll have this added cost of healthcare. And that these things need to be taken into account as human rights across the board. You know, when you have healthcare for all as a human right, it's not a policy. As long as it's still a policy, it's not a human right, because it's somehow limited and discussed with usually most people that are not directly affected, are not in the room when this is discussed. So it's still something that's granted to us, so it can be taken away. That's not granting us our human rights. If you can, in the next term and the next president, take it away. And the living wage piece is so much connected to housing, right? And healthcare is all connected to the job. And if you lose your job, you don't have healthcare, you don't have housing. And if your wage is adequate, then you have no access to a human right to healthcare, or a human right to housing, or a human right to food. So it's a very, very backwards, non-human rights acknowledging system, so to speak. And I just feel like this is really important to talk about and to keep talking about. We have a human right to health, and that is all areas of health and the best that your system can provide. And I used to ask, how many people here feel like they get the very best healthcare that the United States provides? And after 20 years, I'm still waiting for somebody to raise their hand that they think that they have actual open access to the very best healthcare the United States can provide. Unlimited, best healthcare out there, the best level of health we can have. And it's just, when we achieve that, we will have won. And that's what comes into my mind when I think of living wages, like Fight for 15, connected to healthcare, connected to jobs. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I did also put in the chat the link to the call script for Senators Toomey and Casey, so it should be available for people to access. If you can't access it, let me know. But it should be an open link with sharing settings so that everybody can see it. It has the numbers of their Washington offices, the links to their PA offices if you want to call one of the offices closer to you. We are going to move to closing. The national broadcast is still going on, so you have time to catch some of that and even probably catch Tammy in there as well. But I do want to say we're going to close with a prayer from Rabbi Michael Pollack. Before we do that, just want to say that this is why we are building a fusion movement in the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. This is why we're building that along with partners like those in SEIU, One Fair Wage, the Communication Workers of America, as well as the Nonviolent Medicaid Army and the National Union of the Homeless, because we know that all of these rights are interconnected. We can't be pitted against each other. We can't be subject to divide and conquer. And there are many places right now across the world. We sometimes in the Poor People's Campaign, we talk about this country and we say, from California to the Carolinas, or from Arizona to Appalachia. Well, I want to say that from China to Cuba, from Vietnam to Venezuela, there are plenty of places that are doing better by their people in the course of this COVID crisis than the richest country in the world. There's no excuse for it. We're part of an international struggle, an international global working class, and we need to lift up our voices here in this fusion movement and align with poor and dispossessed people around the globe. And I just want to really thank all of you for being here today. I want to thank everybody who spoke, everybody who tuned in. Rabbi Michael, I'm going to pass it to you to close us out in a prayer, and then please do follow up and make these calls to Senator Toomey and to Senator Casey. Please call both of them. Rabbi Michael.
Thank you. Leviticus chapter 25 defines liberty and the Jubilee, and Leviticus 25:10 is inscribed on the Liberty Bell. It says, "Proclaim liberty throughout the land to all the inhabitants thereof." And liberty in Leviticus 25 is defined as abolishing slavery, canceling all debts, letting the land rest, breaking up concentrated wealth, and busting the concentration of the means of production. May we be organized and courageous enough to ring the Liberty Bell, and may we be organized and courageous enough to proclaim liberty to everyone throughout the entire land, and may we ring the Liberty Bell so loudly that the forces of history join us and we achieve Jubilee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Michael. Thank you so much, everyone. We're going to close with a chant. You can go ahead and come off mute. I'm going to say forward together. Y'all are going to say not one step back. Okay? Go ahead and come off mute. And we're going to do it 3 times. Forward together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one
step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
Thank you so much, everyone. Sending you love, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you for making your calls and tuning into the national broadcast. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, okay.